investors is so scary. It's before we brought on investors, when Alex even brought up the idea of what would it look like to have someone else invest in our business, I was just like flat out like, absolutely not. That's never going to happen. And then when he was like, well, eventually we're going to need to, like, we can't spend $80,000 in a new kiln without doing it. I was like, okay, that's expensive. I'll consider it. But I was always very clear that like, if we brought on investors, I didn't want to have to deal with anyone saying, Connie, I really didn't like the way that you made that public statement about X, Y, and Z. I was terrified of it. And so when we brought on our first investor, I wrote out basically a contract and I said, these are the things that I don't want any input on. And I need you to agree that I'm allowed to say X, Y, and Z, and we're not going to, there's going to be no retaliation about it. And he said, yeah, I trust you completely. And I'm willing to go there. And so that really set the tone. I was still, for the first 6 months, I was just like waiting for the other foot to drop and for him to just be like, to start trying to ruin my life. Though we are quite different in ideologies, he has been nothing but supportive and encouraging and a incredible sounding board for Alex especially. We realized that we could find values aligned investors or people who wanted to do this because they believed in what we were doing rather than because they wanted to get a good return on it. And so we put together a deck and we said, hey, if you want to come and be part of this, this is what that's going to look like for you. First, like flat out, like there's no way that someone can invest in this business and make any money off of it right now. And so I think that really does a good enough job of kind of weeding out people who are only in it for that reason. So everybody who has invested in the company is bringing something really valuable to the table with either experiences, like past career experiences that they can really advise us, or just because they're like fun and love what we're doing and are willing to just be like, you guys got this and I'm here if you need me. We've gotten really lucky. So I would definitely say, when you're going into that process, consider how much control you're willing to give up. And if you're not willing to give up control, and if you know that's going to be an issue for you, then you have to stick with that, or that's going to ruin. It's going to be a bad situation. We don't have any interest in, say, selling to or being acquired by Pottery Barn. If this business is going to exist, it's going to exist in the way that with the life that we've already breathed into it, just expanded. So that feels really good. And I think that we will be like leading this company in some capacity for the next decade maybe, but the three of us are also really clear that we don't want our egos to get in the way of the company's success. And so I think you see a lot of companies who start off with the founding team who doesn't think that the company can exist without them. We're really clear that we need to start thinking about who's going to take our place and who's going to fill our shoes. And I'm not going to die on this hill of thinking that I need to be the one and only voice of East Fork. So I think that's really important for everyone, is like for anyone who's getting into a business that they really want to grow, is like, what does your legacy look like? And who are you training? What paths are you creating behind you that are going to allow people access to this thing that you're creating so that they can then go and make it even better or take it to the next level? That's a lot of ego work that has to happen to realize that you are not the company and the company could exist without you. Just scary for some people to think about. We had someone call us up and say, hey, if you ever wanted to do something bigger, love what you're doing. I've been following you guys, your story. I've purchased pots for a really long time and I'd love to make an investment. He was thinking that he would throw in $100,000. We'd build out the workshop a little bit or something. And little did he know that we'd already been scheming to become like the #1 largest ceramic manufacturing company in the country. And we were like, oh, you want to invest? Like, here's our vision. Like, we want to be this state-of-the-art facility. We want to have this big social mission. We want to do this. And he was like, that's not what I was expecting, but I'm game. And so he gave us a sizable chunk of change in order to start thinking about property, start thinking about moving away from the farm and finding a place that we could really grow. Obviously, ceramic manufacturing is extremely capitally intensive. There's a lot of upfront costs for machinery. Then we really started to think about what would it look like to make a pitch deck and really go after money so that we could grow, kind of accelerate that growth a little bit.